Not yet, but we are now. What is up, fanboys and fangirls? Welcome back to another episode of the What the Fanboy Show. I am your host, Brett Eitzen. Today I'm joined remotely by...
What was that?
What was what?
Brett Eitzen.
I am your host, Brett Eitzen.
My bad.
I joined this podcast last.
And yet I do all the work.
You know, he's right, Tyler. He's right. He's right.
He is right. He's got a point.
He's right.
He's got a point.
Oh, I'm joined by two of the original hosts of What the Fanboy, Luke
OG, triple OG,
and Tyler. They don't have last names.
What's up?
So
I think it was the Brett Eitzen part that threw me off.
Do you usually say my last name, right? Like it's.
But I usually say the beautiful.
Only if I say your gamer tag.
My bad. I screwed up our intro. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good. We forget you.
Thanks.
It's all
thanks,
good,
man. Appreciate it.
It's not supposed to go well.
Smooth.
You did it correctly.
you handled hosting responsibilities greatly because it went about as good as it normally does.
That's true. It is usually a train wreck anyways, so there's nothing really new here. But yeah, another week, another whole bunch of news. We kind of joked last week. We talked about a major gaming acquisition, and we'll get to talk about yet another one here a little bit later in the show. But before we dive into that, Luke, why don't you tell me about your week? What'd you do this week, man?
Watch Peacemaker. Show's fantastic. I love that show.
Indeed.
It's good.
I finished Dota, and I'll kind of get into that in a second. Because I want to talk about another show first, which is kind of similar.
Oh, baby. Let's go.
I watched the first 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fantastic. It's made by Critical Role. It's a D&D show. It's like just their quest. It's animated, and it's extreme. It's very vulgar.
Yeah. Very mature.
I expected I was expecting a TV mature rating. I mean, because it's in the corner or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But man, they really went all out in it, man.
They don't hold back.
Yeah, they didn't, and I was pretty surprised by that. Man, it's a fantastic show. It's everything Dota wants to be, honestly.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna kind of compare these two shows. One has interesting characters with names you can remember. That's like step one. Dota has all these weird elven mystical names that don't make any sense. And I'm just like, they'll bring up a character and I'm like, I don't know who we're talking about. It turns out it was the main character. And then it has interesting storyline as far as I've gotten that you can follow. And that was honestly probably the worst thing about Dota is I don't even know what the story is, and I've watched every episode.
Yeah.
The first season was okay. I'm pretty sure I gave it a Matthew McConaughey. Season 2
right.
is straight to streaming. And the reason it gets straight to streaming is because the animation is really good. The action is really good. It's Studio Mir. They're good at what they do. And I was like, I got to the last episode, no idea what the story is, and there's just this epic dragon fight going on. And I was like, this is freaking sweet. And then they kind of just ruin it by having stupid motivations and killing off characters. But they kill off like 7 characters in the last episode, and I was like,
This is Dota, correct?
yeah, this is Dota.
Over in the chat, Nick says the
Um,
Caden's awesome though, right? Is that accurate?
The
Caden?
Caden.
Is there a character named Caden?
I don't know any of the
Oh, no.
characters' names in Dota. I know. I think the main dude is Davion, and that's the only one I can remember. One of the characters' name is Luna, I think. But man, Dota just it does everything wrong. I feel
Caden's
like,
an
for
older
the most
guy
part.
with a black mustache.
Oh, he's the old Dragon Knight. Yeah, he's a cool character. Wish they'd kind of go into him a little bit more and kind of explain how he can just survive anything. And it's really frustrating because the show just it moves so fast, and it's like 30-minute episodes.
Yeah.
And it's so badly paced, and all of a sudden you're in the last episode and you're just like, what is going on?
I remember when I watched the first like 2, I was like, dude, this is like breakneck fast.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I stopped watching it. It was too much for me.
Yeah, I won't keep watching it now. It's not worth it. Plus now I have Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. The animation is a lot like Invincible.
Oh.
Or
Nice.
it's pretty simple, but it still looks really good. It looks really good in motion. The dragon fight that they do in their first little quest is just as good as if not better. And the characters are more interesting. There's set lines instead of just going, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. And it's just all around more interesting. I can't give it a rating yet because I mean, it's not
but your
done.
impressions are really favorable.
Yeah, really high. I'd say if you are interested in a fantasy show, you like animation, and you're like me and want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but just can't seem to find the time, people, or anything with it. It's like a way to kind of partake a little bit. It's a lot of fun.
Nice.
I think people should check it out. But I do need to put the caveat on there that it is quite mature.
That's a good caveat to add.
Isn't
I think the animated
Joe Manganiello a part of that?
Of Dota or Vox Machina?
Vox Machina.
The cast for Vox Machina is incredible. It's got like Laura Bailey, Ashley Johnson, like all the video game people, like actual voice actors. And I know Dota has that too. It has Yuri Lowenthal and stuff, but
Stephanie Beatrice, Carrie Payton, dang, Tennant.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
really good. Gray Griffin is in there too, which she's one of my favorite voice actors.
Yeah.
But
Wow,
yeah,
that's awesome.
people should check it out. It's a lot of fun. There's 3 episodes out right now, and the episodes come out on Prime on Fridays.
Nice. JT in the chat agrees with you, Luke, that is it's a great show.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I did was I started rewatching The Haunting of Hill House. But I own the Blu-rays, and so I've been actually, if the option is available, watching the commentaries with Mike Flanagan. And
nice.
That dude's mind and all the crap he went through to get like some of those shots, and just even his process of like, and he ended up directing every episode just because he was already directing almost all of them. He's like, well, I might as well just do them all.
What's
and he goes into casting like Nell, and she was like at the bottom of the barrel with this video that she mailed in, and so it's like it's an incredible that she even got the role, and frankly she crushes it. So worth it. But
she's
and
actually
the
since
really
become pretty good too. Like she's gotten some
yeah
other jobs now because of that.
yeah she was in Bly Manor, then she was in You,
Hmm.
the TV show
Netflix
You.
likes her.
Yeah. But the I haven't watched the last episode yet, and that one has a commentary, and I'm really interested to hear what he has to say about the ending because it is kind of twisty and it may not be as straightforward as you think when you watch it the first
Yep.
time.
Wonder what he
But
says about the house.
yeah, the Two Storms episode, which is probably my favorite episode of TV ever, which is designed to only have 4 edits in the entire episode, I think. And the longest take is 17 minutes.
Wow.
And he's detailing every movement that the camera and the cast and the crew is doing. And I'm like losing my mind because he's talking about like right now there's a bunch of people moving all these chairs because the camera has to go right through
Yeah.
there. And right now all the characters are sitting and they're about to stand. And you'd think it's super simple, but the maneuver to get a steady cam just raised up is incredibly wild. And our dolly broke after this take, and it's insane what they did on that episode. And I'm really glad I've been watching them. Also, The Haunting of Hill House is probably my favorite show, at least at the moment. It's incredible, and people should watch it.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'll go real quick because I didn't do a lot this week.
I also watched The Mandalorian.
Oh, we'll talk about Mando here in a minute.
Oh, I mean Boba Fett. I mean Boba Fett. Sorry.
Dang it! You stole my joke.
Yeah, so I didn't do a whole lot. I started rewatching Raised by Wolves season 1. Man, that show's good.
Season 2 starts.
I know. I'm trying to like power through. So, because it's Thursday, season 2 starts. And then the other thing I did that a couple people mentioned that they saw in the chat was the new intro. So one of the pieces of feedback we got from our 2021 survey was that, especially on Twitch, if you're listening to this audio form, you don't get an extended intro, but that a little bit more of an intro, a little bit longer of like a hey, the show's about to start, would be a nice heads up. So we went ahead and put together a little 2-minute intro with some clips from the past couple years of us just saying stupid things and being silly and all that fun stuff. So thank you guys for mentioning that in the chat. That was a lot of fun to put together and find some new clips.
It's so good.
So
Yeah, it's really good. Good job, Brett.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
It's awesome.
Host Brett Eidson.
Your host. That's right. Other than that, I didn't do a whole lot. So we can move right on to Tyler.
All right, I'll try to make this quick.
How dare you, JT?
Because I have a few things I want to get through. First, I worked like 26 hours of overtime this weekend. I worked all weekend long. So the things I did in fairly small doses. So I'm not going to give review scores. I'm not going to, or give my recommendations or anything like that. I'm just going to say I've done them, talk a little bit, and move on. So first thing I did, I played the new Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends Arceus. I say Arceus, I've heard Arceus. AKA what I like to call the Jesus simulator. And that's a very weird thing to call this game. But so basically the setup of this game is the Pokemon who created the world and the world of Pokemon is talking to you when this game opens. And it's like, hey, you need to go to this place, and you basically fall out of the sky to this region, and people are like, hey, you guy who fell from the sky, come help us. And so you end up helping all the people in this region. It's really interesting.
Oh, very interesting.
But it's like you fell through space-time is more what they're talking about. It's pretty cool. It's a fun game. It's the game, I think, as a Pokemon fan, and I know Luke and Brett, you guys aren't Pokemon guys, but for the people who are, this is pretty close to the game I think we've all been wanting for a really long time. So it's really nice to see them kind of go in a new direction and take a swing and a new chance at Pokemon and not just do the same thing over and over again. One of the things I never understood about Pokemon is like a lot of times the Pokemon don't attack you; they just attack your Pokemon. And in this game, the Pokemon will f you up. It is awesome. It is terrifying at times. It's really cool. Now, I'm really enjoying the gameplay loop. I played about 5 hours of this. I'm really looking forward to digging more into it. But what I will say is the graphics and frame rate, it is an issue. It's not great. It looks like a dated game. It runs like a dated game. I've heard it runs better on the OLED. I've heard good things about that. On the original Switch, it's a little iffy. But the game is a ton of fun. I really like the gameplay loop. If you're looking to get into Pokemon and you're curious about this game, I think maybe watch a few videos, listen to a few reviews of it, see if it sounds like something you'd enjoy. Because I think it is a blend of Pokemon and Monster Hunter. In its own special way, but it is a lot of fun. I can't wait to dig more into it, and I'll hopefully have a review in a couple weeks. Because the other thing I did is I finally received my PlayStation 5.
Yes!
It came in this weekend while I was working, and so Dana was nice enough to set it up for me while I was at work. I came home last night and I got to play it for like an hour ish. I was really tired, so it was really hard to want to focus on it. So I basically just installed some games, kind of surfed the UI, changed some settings that I don't like, and then I played a little bit. I turned on Returnal and kind of died real quick just to kind of see how the game looks and feels.
Mm-hmm.
And then I today played like an actual attempt at a run, and I actually made it to the first boss on my first try, which is pretty exciting. It's a fun game. It's a roguelite. I'll definitely be talking more about it in the future, but I really enjoyed Hades, and this kind of has a little bit of that in it. A little bit of Hades, a little bit of Gears of War, a little bit of Interstellar in there. It's pretty cool. The other game I played was Ratchet and Clank, and I played for about 20 minutes, just kind of through the intro stuff. I think I need to change the graphic setting because the 30 frames per second fidelity. I'm going to switch to Performance Plus to keep the ray tracing and everything and have the locked 60 frames per second.
Yeah.
I think that'll make it a more enjoyable experience. But I tell you what, man, the game is gorgeous. And the opening of that game, the opening cutscene, is like a movie / show. I think it's like a movie / show I think I would watch.
Like the rain really... and on her fur is insane.
Yes. Yeah, or even her little armor suit, like the way it all kind of works together, animated wise, looks really good. I was like, man, this is cool. I really can't wait to dig more into that and kind of get a feel for, how the controller works. I know I got to play a little bit of Astro's Playroom too, and man, the PlayStation 5 controller is next level. I know Microsoft has filed a patent to maybe get into the haptic thing and try to make their own. If they can replicate this by half, if that makes any sense, they've done a good job, because this control is
just that good.
Cool. It's so good. It is this is what I'll say. And I'm an Xbox guy. I will still prefer Xbox, I think, even after having played this. The jump from the PS4 to the PS5 feels so much bigger than the jump from the Xbox One to the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
Like, yes, the loading times and graphics and stuff are really good on the Series X, but the immersiveness of the PlayStation 5 is seriously something like that enough. Like, I don't think enough people are talking about it. And I played like 2 hours. It's insane. Like, this controller is nuts. And maybe I'm just, I didn't hear it. But I follow enough Sony things I feel like this should be talked about way more than it is. It's insane, man. It's one of the coolest things I've ever experienced. But yeah, I watched, moving on, I watched Peacemaker. I watched Boba Fett. And I also will drop a little tease right here. I can't announce anything yet. I did kind of stumble into an opportunity really, really cool for me, something I'm really, really excited about. There will be an announcement hopefully in the next 2 weeks-ish on what that might be. It will not impact anything here that we do.
Tyler bought out What the Fanboy from the rest of us, so he is now the sole owner.
Yeah. That's exactly
you may be host Brett Eitzen, but he's owner.
He's owner.
Yeah. Player, owner, coach Tyler Davis here. So I just had a really cool opportunity. in the world of football, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you're a fan of this show and you're a fan of sports, I'll say that. That's about as much as I can say. Hopefully, you'll enjoy a little bit of that next endeavor. So, otherwise, I just worked a lot and hung out with my kid.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a good week, and we cannot wait to hear what you be teasing about. But
I can't wait to share it.
Yes. Before we hop into trailers, we all mentioned that you guys mentioned that you watched Book of Boba Fett episode 5. Let's talk about it because
you mean season 3 of The Mandalorian?
This was not a Boba Fett episode.
It was not.
And it's maybe the best episode of the season.
1.
I don't know. What a weird. I don't know what they're doing with the show. I don't know.
The Mandalorian love letter to episode 1 episode is the best episode of the show so far. And I know a lot of people are talking about it, in the Star Wars universe. I don't know if I'm ready to go that far, but I do think she should get more opportunities as a director.
Yeah, Bryce Dallas Howard. Yeah.
I don't know what that looks like for her. But man, this was incredible. This was honestly, it pissed me off because I enjoyed it so much. And I was like, man, I'd much rather be watching Mandalorian season 3 than Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It's just it's irritating. Like, it was so I enjoyed it so much. And then I was like, man, this is what I want. This is the show I want.
Yeah.
I don't want, but I do like the ideas they're setting up for maybe a season 3 of Mandalorian.
Agreed. Luke, thoughts?
Honestly, it's like the exact same thing I said about Vox and Dota. Boba Fett just wishes it could be Mandalorian, but it's just not, and it won't be. It's uninteresting. The characters are bland, boring, and then one episode of Mandalorian, and we're just forgotten about Boba Fett pretty much. Like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing too with the Darksaber, because I know there's a lot of people that haven't watched Rebels.
Yeah.
And what he's going through in that episode is what Sabine goes through, who's going to be in Ahsoka. And when she's training with the Darksaber with Kanan, it's just such an interesting discussion about how lightsabers and the Force works.
Yeah.
And they're kind of leaning towards that a bit, and kind of I wanted to watch Rebels again, because especially those season 3 and 4 of Rebels are really, really good. Yeah. But Armor is going to be a bad guy, and I can't wait for that fight.
Yeah. I just think it's weird that it feels like you're setting up like you've made Boba Fett the least interesting character in his own show. They did some interesting stuff with his backstory early on with some of the flashback stuff. But then they just like, bye Tusken Raiders. And, the last episode before this one didn't really progress the plot. I think that's what's frustrating me the most, is that there's such little plot there for, like, from the time he decides he wants to be, like, he comes back to Tatooine after getting his armor and at the end of Mandalorian season 2 to what happens at the end of this. There's so little there that this entire series is just flashbacks, and heck, let's take probably 2 episodes. I mean, I'm going to assume next episode going to be the same thing. We're not going to hardly get any Boba Fett. It's going to be all Mando. And like, it feels weird because it feels like they're sabotaging Boba, who could be an interesting character. I get, like, maybe you don't want to make him like the stereotypical bounty hunter that everyone thought he was from the original trilogy. I get that. I'm okay with people changing. But he's just like this catalyst to say, like, hey, other people go do this, or go recruit this person, or something like that. And it's just not interesting. Would have much rather seen...
The majority of Boba Fett is him walking around in the costume with his gun.
Yeah.
Like, that's really it. It's him walking into a building, and then just him kind of just, you run this club, eh? Okay, where's the mayor? Okay, bye. Then it's him walking out.
Yeah,
it's like a 2007 RPG game.
I do like Nick's comment over in the chat. He says, in 2 or 3 weeks, when Boba's riding around a Rancor, we'll see if he's the least interesting character. I mean, he's going to have a moment in the finale, like, for sure. Like, there's going to be that, like, this was like what this was the pitch. This is what people...
What if they
pitched to Kathleen to get her to sign off on this. That would be fun. That would be
What
funny.
if he sacrifices himself for Finnick and Mando?
What if he just gets knocked off into the Sarlacc pit again? Oh, but it's dead now.
Oh, dude. No lie. I would love it. I would love it. It's a death that fits the character.
Yeah.
Freaking corny.
I would love it too. All right. Well, that's enough Boba Fett. Yeah.
Mando.
Well, no, if it was Mando, we'd talk more about it, because that part is awesome. That's awesome. Hey, real quick, over in the chat, San Palito, who I streamed some Halo with last week, is here. Thanks for popping in, man. We need to do that again.
Did you bag?
I didn't bag, but that's only because we didn't hit the very stringent requirements that you set, Luke. So maybe next time.
You could have done it anyway.
I could have.
Those are the requirements for you to bag, so you don't feel bad about it. You can just bag.
Yep.
For
we have not talked about PlayStation and Bungie. That is coming up soon. But before we get to that, let's go through trailers real quick. The big one, of course, being that the Halo TV show live action TV show got its trailer revealed during the AFC Championship game. What'd you guys think? Thoughts?
Some things shouldn't be made.
I had to take a drink.
That's what I think. The trailer was horrible. That's what I think. It looked goofy. It sounded bad. And Cortana, are you kidding me? Like, are you serious, bro? Oh, she looked like it's the definition of Uncanny Valley. Oh, it was.
So, I'm glad you got to Uncanny Valley, and that's a great place for me to jump in. I think from a what kind of story they're trying to tell standpoint, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think, does it look amazing? No. I'll just say that right away. It doesn't look like anything that's going to blow my mind. But from a story standpoint, I'm okay with what they're going for. Like that, it doesn't bother me. But the Uncanny Valley-ness of this trailer, like everything looks so weird. Like the way the Spartans were moving in their armor, like I can't tell if that's a guy in a suit or if it's CG, and it just really messes with me.
The problem is, I think is that it is a guy.
There's something about
it is a guy in a suit, and we've gotten so used to 20 years of CG essentially in the games. Them moving at just slightly inhuman speeds that it just feels a little clunky. I would agree that it.
Yeah, it looks just odd and. I don't know. I don't.
To me,
I'll watch it.
It looked like a YouTube fan made.
It's an Adi Shankar Halo bootleg.
I think it looks better than what Luke is giving. What Luke's saying, but at the same time, it does not look like big budget Hollywood. It doesn't have that. I wouldn't even say it has like the Mandalorian feel. Like it kind of feels like a step down from the Mandalorian.
It reminds me a bit of Robert Rodriguez's episodes of Boba Fett and the Mandalorian. It's like you have these good-looking. I honestly think the Master Chief suit looks good.
Yeah.
You have a good-looking costume in a field, and it looks like sometimes there's no effects, or filters, or they didn't light anything. They're just like, well, the sun is in the sky today, so we're gonna film.
It seems like Halo has always had that kind of brighter, like it's not typically real gritty and dark and like ODST kind of is, but like the mainline Halo game. So I guess to me it felt like, oh, they're just trying to capture that, like it feels like Halo because it's bright and it's colorful, but at the same time that it's really hard. It's actually really hard to make all those things come together well when you're doing that. That's why you see so much CG in the dark, because it's easier to hide things. It costs less. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic. I think kind of what like Tyler was saying, I'm intrigued by where they're going with the story. Over in the chat, Nick said that he really hated the line about like that the Master Chief is controllable. I agree to a point, but like ultimately Halsey, the one who says that line, like she is not the, like I wouldn't put it past her to say something like that. Like she absolutely would use the Master Chief for her own means and not necessarily to save the world, or to save the world to make herself look good. So I actually find that like actually fits decently. Some of the uncanny stuff with like Cortana like being a little more realistic and not a blue purple hologram. I think I would prefer it the other way. But like I'm okay with them being a little bit artistically different, I guess. I don't know. I'm
chose the same voice actor, so kudos to them for that.
Jen Taylor came back for that, so that was good. Yeah. That was good.
I have a question, Brett. I've only ever just played the games. Don't they not know about Halo until Halo?
Yeah, so that's...
And in the trailer, they're like, oh, it's called Halo. And it's just like, no.
Well, yeah, the trailer ends with, like, find the Halo and win the war, which is super corny. But the Halo games have always kind of been a little corny as well. That said...
I'm assuming with the Covenant being involved, that's how they're going to find out about those.
So, yeah, yes.
Plus, there's a human in High Charity.
So the show is not technically canon. The show is in what they're calling the Silver Universe. So the games and the books all take place in the Gold Universe, I guess, where that's kind of the canon, the most canon, I guess, version of events. And this show takes place in a slightly different universe where they can kind of play with those things. So. Yes, you're right.
Somebody send us a meme.
Don't just
of a cannon and then a most cannon, which is just the bigger
cannon and then the most cannon.
Yes.
Yeah, so it gives them...
It's like Luke and bigger Luke in Star Wars.
It gives them the ability to play around with some of that stuff. So yeah, don't think going in just because you've read all the books, you'll know exactly what's going to happen.
Me read a book. It's cute.
Touche. All right, what other trailers we got this week, boys?
I got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre trailer. Did you guys watch this one?
I did.
This looks terrible. This looks terrible.
You're about make a move and you're canceled, bro.
I'm not a huge Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan. Maybe this fits in with it. Maybe not. Like, I don't know. It doesn't look like it's for me.
I don't understand. They were going to make a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie where Leatherface just chases influencers and kills them. And it's like, no.
Does it star actual
That's
influencers?
not-
Because if so, that's why.
Probably.
If it actually stars influencers, then that's the whole reason it got made.
Just so they could kill influencers?
Was so that the influencers would promote the movie so people would go see it.
Oh. Yeah,
Just
well, it
so
looked
everybody
awful.
knows, this is probably one of the movies that Netflix raised its price for because they probably paid $75 million to make this movie.
Yeah, I don't need.
When they made the original for what, $5,000 in a box of crayons?
Yeah, I think I mean, we're speculating on production costs, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre, honestly, most horror movies don't need that big of a budget. So hopefully that's not the case, but Luke's probably right.
And it's really hard for me to go
Dude, this movie
to
is an
be interested in a
83
slasher.
It's an 83-minute movie.
Yeah.
Not even
It's a short film.
doesn't even hit the 90-minute mark. Oof. It's gonna go fast. Better have good pacing.
But it's really tough for me to get interest in a slasher movie. Like even Scream, which apparently is great. You guys gave it a great review. I just don't have an interest in seeing it.
Yeah.
I can't stand slasher movies. I can't stand the behavior of the characters, the tropes, the story is always meaningless.
Yeah.
That's what makes Scream so great, though, is they make fun of all of that.
But like even the original Scream, I was just kind of like, there's something.
How much do you think the budget is for this movie?
I'm gonna say 75.
Okay.
I'll go lower. I'll go 64.
Okay. The estimated budget, obviously not fully released yet, is 20 million.
Okay, well they made it.
Okay.
They made it for budget then. Okay. That's good.
Should have been 5.
That's good.
Just remember, the movie Upgrade was made for $5 million.
That movie sets the standard for budgets to me.
What's he
And if
What's he
you-
working on next?
Wolfman?
Werewolf
Werewolf
Man.
movie?
That's right. That's right. Leywinell.
You talking about Lay?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about what's his name? Tom Hardy's twin,
Oh,
Logan Marshall Green.
Logan Marshall Green. Yeah, he's in a new. He's in that movie Redeeming Love. That's in theaters right now.
That has like a 5% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Was it? I don't know. I know it's a Christian movie.
Oh no, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
It's Dana's favorite book.
Oh.
Oh really? She
Yeah.
gonna see it?
She wants to.
There you go.
I
Date
like
night.
Logan Marshall Green. I'll check it out.
And then watch Upgrade right after.
Be like, hey, remember that guy? Yeah, watch
Yeah.
this.
And if you haven't seen Upgrade,
Do yourself a favor. It's the best it is.
There was a trailer that I
fantastic.
saw that I it may be old, but I didn't know this existed. But there's a new Reacher, Jack Reacher show coming
Yeah,
to Amazon.
Yeah, with Alan
Mhm.
Richardson, baby.
I don't care, but hopefully it's good. It seems
I like.
I'll
Alan
watch
Richardson.
the
Jack
show.
Reacher is one of those properties that gets like rebooted every 4 or 5 years and no one complains because it was not good the last time. So we'll see if that trend continues.
I actually like the first Tom Cruise movie. I think that one's actually pretty good. Second one, didn't watch it because I thought the trailers were horrible. I think
I might
Prime
watch
though
it for
has
this one.
I think Prime has a problem with marketing. A lot of their trailers I feel like struggle.
Yeah. Yeah, they do it. They don't do a great job marketing overall, but agreed.
But I'll check it out.
Yeah, I might watch this one just to support Alan Richardson. I like him a lot.
Nice. All right, any other trailers or should we hop over to news?
I can hop into some news.
I don't have any.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, our first bit of
Should we hit
news comes
the-
from the chat because JT said, Brett, save this for the news. I know it's not a big deal, but this year's the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy franchise, and the 25th anniversary for Final Fantasy VII, and the 20th anniversary for Kingdom Hearts.
Wow.
Holy crap.
I didn't know those had
That's
been around that
a
long.
time. It's older than me by
Whew.
2.5 months.
I beat that.
3 months.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Man, we were 9, Luke, when Kingdom Hearts 1 came out. That is insane to me. Wow.
Unfortunately,
Good for
I've
those
never
games.
played any of the franchise.
Yeah, same. I've never gotten into either of those, but you know, they have lasting power. They stick around, so there's got to be something to them.
Did you play Kingdom Hearts when you were 9, Tyler?
Yes.
Like day one, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go run around and kill things with Mickey.
I don't. So, like, I always think about this, actually. I don't know how I heard about the game, but I wanted it, and I got it. And I don't know, like, I guess it was all just word of mouth back then. But, yeah, I mean, I played Kingdom Hearts pretty much day one. I've been a Kingdom Hearts guy from the very beginning. I played Kingdom Hearts 3 when it came out a couple years ago.
Would it have been in the Nintendo Power magazine? You guys have that?
I did. I had that, and I had Tips and Tricks.
All right.
Dude,
Yeah,
that's
that was a
how
good
we
one.
used to do it.
Xbox
Was it no
magazine,
social
got the little
media?
demo disc. It is sick.
Yeah. I remember me and Logan, I think we got Nintendo Power and we didn't even have a system yet. But no, it's Nintendo Power and the Lego magazine every month.
Man, there was a gaming magazine I
Heck
always
yeah.
got to. Can't remember. But yeah, that's cool. That's staying power.
Yep.
And that game is huge.
Yep. Yes, it is. Also, I mean, I had this on my list, but JT also managed to mention it in the chat. Mortal Kombat, last year's apparent hit over on HBO Max / theaters,
Oh yeah, forgot.
getting a sequel from the writer of Moon Knight. So that's pretty awesome. That movie was not highly rated on my list last year, but I think it's unique in what it provides. So I'll definitely watch a second one.
I enjoyed it for what it was. It needed fights and fatalities, and it did. I was content. I bet Tyler's freaking hyped though.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty juiced. I am ready for more Sub-Zero and Scorpion stuff to happen. Even though with the ending of first one, I know those characters will be in this.
Nice.
Look, who's the person that becomes the next Sub-Zero or whatever?
You talking about Louis Tan?
No, I thought he was an original character. Or do you think he's gonna become Sub-Zero?
So I think he's gonna become the next Scorpion because it's from that bloodline. I think Sub-Zero will not be Sub-Zero any longer. I think he's going to be Noob Saibot, and I think it's going to create some pretty interesting stuff.
Who do you cast as Johnny Cage, Ty?
I'm actually of the I'll join the vocal majority online. I think The Miz from the WWE would be a great choice.
Bring in more.
You're not in the Ryan Reynolds.
Bring in
camp?
more wrestlers. Let's do it.
Yeah. If I was gonna cast somebody outside of like wrestling, Joel McHale. He voices the character in the animated movies.
All right. Well,
Get behind that.
Speaking of casting news, did you guys see? I know you both love DC's Titans.
Oh, I thought you were talking about fasten your seatbelts. Sorry.
Oh no, not yet. We can jump over to that real quick. But Titans for season 4, they're bringing in Joseph Morgan for the character of Brother Blood in season 4 of Titans.
Interesting. Okay. All right. I did not see this.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
late breaking
I still
news.
need to finish Titans.
Me too. I need to finish Titans as well. But I like the idea.
I need to enjoy Titans.
I do like the idea of Brother Blood, though. I think that's a fun idea for the show.
Yeah.
My
Could be
hope
cool.
is that it creates more things for the whole team to punch.
Well, speaking of things
Maybe
to punch,
a telephone pole will fall on somebody else.
There you go.
Tyler, you mentioned the Fast and the Furious franchise. They kept begging.
No, say it.
Fasten your seatbelts. Say
Right.
it, Brett.
It's the sequel title I'm sticking with.
Feel free to say it for me. I refuse.
Nope. Say it, you coward.
So for the new Fast and Furious movie, I'm not gonna do it. I'm denying
you. Water in your sock.
They've been trying to get the Rock back, and the Rock just said, no thanks. And so they went and hired Jason Momoa. I actually think this is a really good casting. I'm not interested in this at all, but I think he fits in terms of what they're doing with the franchise.
How is he related to Vin Diesel?
Could he be related to someone else?
Yeah, he could be related to somebody else.
Some other
Paul Walker's cousin.
Ooh. Maybe. Hear me out.
Ludacris's life coach.
I mean this as a total joke. Because I do know, like, personally, Jason Momoa is going through a divorce right now. But what if he's actually married to Vin Diesel's mom? And much like Zoe Kravitz is his stepdaughter, what if Vin Diesel is his stepson?
Oh. Okay.
Isn't he the same age as Vin Diesel, though?
Just give him white hair. It'll be fine.
Dude, him and Zoe Kravitz are like 7 years apart. And he's her stepdad.
I thought she was younger, and I thought he was older, like pretty substantially. Isn't he like in his 40s?
Momoa? Yeah, that sounds right.
He's 42.
How old is Zoe Kravitz?
She's probably...
Hold on. I forgot.
33. So there's a 9 year
apart.
difference.
Hold on. I forgot that I'm almost 30, and I keep really underselling my age.
I can't wait till you make it to the old club, Luke. One of us.
Yeah, Jason Momoa in Fast and Your Seatbelts. I'm okay with this move. He fits the franchise.
I think so. I agree. Good casting choice.
I mean, he's probably just a half brother, honestly. Mom or dad got a little frisky when they were in college.
Long lost half brother.
Didn't know that the kid, probably the dad, didn't know that the wife the woman he knocked up got preggers. Now he's like a super spy like the rest of the family.
Okay, moving on, because we are really slow. Brett Goldstein, one of the stars and writers of Ted Lasso, has signed an overall deal with Warner Bros. To make new shows, new properties. Warner Bros. TV, I should say. This is really cool. I didn't know he was one of the writers, so good for him.
Yeah, he's really good in it. At least season 1. I haven't watched all of season 2. I assume he's just as good. And the writing on that show is really outstanding. So I'm really happy for him. That's great.
Yep, that's good news.
Luke, you got any news stories?
James Gunn confirmed that another Suicide Squad spin-off is in the works at HBO Max.
Another show, specifically?
Yes. And it's kind of been rumored and hinted, but now it's like officially confirmed. Like, yes, there is another Suicide Squad character that's going to get a spin-off. Who do you guys think it is?
I hope it's Ratcatcher too. I think she deserves a movie, but I think she also like the treatment with TV and just how much more you can get into the personal stuff. I really like that.
Mm-hmm. And it was also said that it will probably be different. It won't be a comedy like Peacemaker is.
Then I think Ratcatcher 2 fits that. I don't think hers would be as funny. Obviously, there would still be some comedy, I think, no matter what. But
Yeah.
what are your guys' thoughts? There's too many to choose from. Too many people survived that show, that movie.
I think it could also be like multiple.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's going to be Rick Flag.
Ooh.
Like
They brought him back. They gave him a pig heart, and he.
No, I think it's going to be.
Think it'll be a
Prequel?
prequel.
Yeah, I'm kind of hopeful. I mean, I think it could be like what Luke is saying. Could be multiple people, but what if that multiple people is the team that it's blown up at the very beginning of this movie and Rick Flag? Like, it's those guys and Rick
Oh, that
doing
could be fun.
submissions for Waller. I think that possibility could be very real. But in my heart of hearts, I think it's going to be Ratcatcher 2.
I think Ratcatcher 2 is the most likely. I think I would love a Bloodsport show.
Yeah.
Mainly because I love Idris Elba, and I loved his character in that too. I'm also just wondering, like, could it be like, what if it's Weasel and it's just Corto Maltese being terrorized by the Weasel?
Oh, that would be amazing.
Or like we know that Nathan Fillion isn't dead. That's been confirmed by Gunn. He could show up.
What if they did an anthology series where it's like all of the survivors get their own episode, and it's just a random story? You could easily do one where it is, Weasel terrorizing a little town, and then the next one you have Bloodsport, actually like doing something, heroic for his daughter, and then you're just bouncing around to all the different characters. That could be kind of interesting.
I'd also I'd wonder if they do something with Margot and Harley Quinn. I know they have the animated show.
Yeah.
Why not?
But then
he
I also
likes working with Margot. He loves working with Margot.
I also raised the question: what if it's just a Suicide Squad show?
Yeah.
That's what Peacemaker essentially is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just Waller.
Dude, they should do that, and Vigilante should join the fold.
Yes.
I think if they make another movie, I think he's in it.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
In this poor Vigilante, man, he's just like helping out Peacemaker, and at the end of this, he's gonna be arrested, sent to Bel Rev, and have a bomb put in his neck. It's like, that's a bummer, dude.
Yeah. I like over in the chat.
I mean, it's not a huge bummer. He's a horrible person.
Over in the chat, JT says it needs to be a King Shark series. I could use more.
That'd be fun.
Sylvester Stallone as King Shark. That is,
that'd be fun.
I don't know if I've seen like a bad in the last like 3 or 4 years, however long it's been. Like there hasn't been like a bad version of King Shark. I love all the different ways they've portrayed him, but good news story.
Yeah.
What else we got?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, I have a bunch of stuff, so I'm just gonna rapid fire a few things.
Do it.
In the show world, Percy Jackson, the show was greenlit at Disney Plus.
That's right.
If you're a Percy Jackson fan, they're making a television show, which I think is a better choice than the movie situation they tried to do all those years ago. Yep. So this is kind of cool. I'm interested to see what this turns into. Alyssa Yeoh is the first transgender character in the DCEU, being played by Ivory Aquino. in Batgirl.
Oh,
It is Batgirl's roommate. So that's pretty cool. Good job,
Nice.
WB, in being inclusive. Speaking of WB, Warner Brothers Gaming says Gotham Knights and Hogwarts Legacy are on track to be released in 2022. There were some rumors swirling that Hogwarts Legacy would get pushed to 2023. It sounds like that's actually going to happen. It also
Trailer,
sounds like
please.
that game might be in a little bit of trouble. MLB The Show 22 revealed that Shohei Ohtani is on the cover. And the new announcement this year, that will be released on Nintendo Switch as well as Xbox and PlayStation. If you play that on your Switch will explode. I'm telling you now, do it.
I want you to play it on Switch, Tyler.
Absolutely not. If you buy it,
I want to know what
I'm
it's
not paying
like.
for my Switch to die. The Rock has teased that he is going to be a video game movie, and there are some rumors swirling that came out today that it might be a Call of Duty movie.
oh,
That is going to suck. It's going to be horrible.
yeah.
And I will watch it so I can laugh and get drunk.
Are they going to throw up that Activision logo at the very beginning of the movie?
Well, they're going to say Xbox Game Studios.
There you go.
Then Activision.
Ugh. Yeah, no
And then
thanks.
the last thing for me, and I thought this was kind of cool because I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago, just in a different light. Crisis 4 is in development from Crytek. That's kind of cool. We were kind of talking about the Crisis series. I can't remember what the context was.
We
But,
were at
you know.
GameStop, and we were
Oh,
looking
yeah,
at the case.
Yeah, we were
We were
saying
getting
that
dinner.
it looks cool, but none of us really played it.
No.
But yeah, Crisis 4 is in development. I'd be very curious to see what that turns out to be.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one
probably
will
not.
explode your Switch.
Yeah, seriously, dude. They actually have Crisis on Switch too in the eShop.
That's crazy. I don't know how you make that happen, but dang, good for them. Good for those
Game melted
engineers
computers,
to.
didn't
Yeah, that's true. It did come up from a while ago. Real quick before we jump into our big story tonight, I just want to remind everyone, because I'm scrolling Twitter and it popped up, that Nightmare Alley is going to be on HBO Max like tomorrow, Tuesday.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people
Let's
missed it in
go.
theaters. This was one of my favorites from last year. Go watch it if you have HBO Max. Absolutely worth the watch. Holy cow.
Heck yeah.
So good. Ugh,
I'm excited about that.
me too.
I might be taking a day off this week.
You deserve it. You had a long weekend. But that
Oh, I hear my kid.
leads us to. Do you need to leave? Just abandon the show.
No, we're good.
You're the
good.
full owner now, so you can do whatever you want.
Player owner coach.
Our big story for tonight is that it was announced today that Sony Interactive Entertainment? No, that's not right. Yeah, Sony.
Yes.
Sony
Yes, I-
Interactive Entertainment essentially bought Bungie. But that's kind of a deceptive way of talking about it.
Bungie's logo will now be on their website.
It's accurate in the sense of like they're a subsidiary of PlayStation, but they're a completely independent subsidiary. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means. But what were your guys' initial reactions to this?
Are we saying before or after I read the news release?
Initial reactions when you see the tweet pop up that says Sony is buying PlayStation.
I think I texted the group that we have on Twitter with this is, holy hell, Sony needed FPS and they got it. And I think after more news broke, or, there's still a bit of that is true.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Xbox decides to pull Call of Duty, Sony has guaranteed themselves they have Bungie games on their consoles.
Yeah.
And that's, even if it is multi-platform, I still think losing Call of Duty would hurt them quite a bit. But it's not like they won't have an FPS game that is better than Call of Duty. Destiny and whatever other shooters they're going to put out with Bungie are going to be better than Call of Duty. So I don't think that concern should be as big for Sony as it maybe was 2 weeks ago or a week ago.
Yeah. Yeah, we do know that this deal has been in the making for a few months. This wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to Sony or Microsoft purchasing Activision, Blizzard. That's just not how these things work. But that said, like, I think right now, like the last probably 2-3 years, the publishers, the big ones, are all kind of feeling, how can we bolster our base, right? And so there probably have been talks to everyone about purchases, and it's just really heating up now. So, Luke, what was your reaction?
Confusion.
I bet. I bet.
Well, so even you mentioned the group text.
Mm-hmm.
If you go look at it again, you might notice I did not respond for a while.
You did. Yeah. I assume you were processing.
That wasn't out. It wasn't out of anger or anything, just confusion. Because last week I went on a huge deal about how Bungie will not sell to anybody because they just got their independence from Activision and they were so proud of that. And I was like, no, Bungie will never sell to anybody. 7 days later, I'm looking at my phone just like,
what the heck?
Why would they do this? Like, I don't understand. It didn't really make any sense to me. I would have been asking the exact same question. It's like, you got free from Microsoft once already with Halo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, once you started working on Destiny, you got to go do your own thing. Why would you do this? Because I was like venturing into, is this going to be head into exclusive territory with their stuff? I didn't think Destiny was. It's been around for 7 years.
Yeah.
You can't, especially with crossplay and everything, and I just did not see that happening. But I was mainly thinking about like their new multiplayer,
whatever the new IP
shooter.
is,
I was like,
yeah.
that's what Sony's buying. But then everything's come out now.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm sure not every, but Bungie is still pretty much an independent studio. They just are going to have the Sony and PlayStation logos probably on their box and before their games, maybe.
Yep.
And that just led me to more confusion. It's just so interesting. I'm really happy for Bungie. I mean, it's clearly, like you said, been in the works for a while, and this is gonna let them hire a lot of people to keep doing what they say they're trying to do, which is keep improving Destiny, keep focusing on the Crucible because it's been an absolute mess.
What is the Crucible?
At least Crucible isn't Gambit. But they can actually do something about Gambit. They can have dedicated Gambit people. And then they can also have that other branch of their studio to go work on the new stuff, on the different stuff that isn't Destiny.
Yeah.
And now they are able to have Sony back them, and they can have that budget increase too.
So
but man, just confusion.
Yeah.
I was confused all day.
Yeah, because I had said last week, what if they bought Bungie? And that's what started.
I think
Luke's
I made
rant.
fun of
Luke
you.
was like,
no way.
Yeah,
That's
I expect an
a
apology.
stupid
I
guess,
expect an
Tyler.
apology.
I think you owe Tyler a steak dinner.
That sounds expensive. How about a
McDonald's
very nicely
burger.
written formal letter?
Do it. Yeah, so some of the information that's come out, since they've essentially, Bungie and Sony have put out little statements. There was even an interview that they had kind of together that does kind of make this sound, it's interesting. It makes this sound interesting because it's unlike most gaming acquisitions. I'm going to do air quotes acquisitions, in that Bungie is fairly, pretty much still remaining independent. I don't know how that would change. The details of that contract, I'm not privy to. No one is. There could be a potential future where once Pete Parsons steps down as CEO or the board changes enough at Bungie that they, essentially kind of swing into a first-party publisher or developer. But I don't see that happening. Bungie has a pretty proud history of like wanting to be independent and doing things their way. That said, I think I'm going to call it a partnership because it feels more like a partnership than an acquisition. The partnership makes sense on a number of levels to me. First off, Destiny has, since the beginning, really required more people than what Bungie has been able to dedicate. When they were,
and that was even when they had Activision, when they were with Vicarious Visions and stuff.
Yep, they had two supporting studios, Moon something, and then High Moon, and Vicarious Visions. So I think what we're gonna see is that because Bungie has really wanted to break into the being a multi-game publisher, they've had to really balance how much can they afford to spend on pulling developers from Destiny development into their other IPs,
into Matter,
which is why I think we haven't seen a Destiny 3. If you don't have to rebuild a bunch of stuff, you can put all those engineers and artists onto a new game. That said, they're also, like, even last year, they talked about wanting to do more multimedia stuff with Destiny, really making it a franchise like Star Wars. I think partnering with Sony, who has a entertainment division that makes movies and TV shows, makes perfect sense.
This is actually my favorite thing about the entire deal.
Yeah.
And this is too right after watching the Halo Paramount Plus trailer, and I was like just so down on it. And I was like, is this where a Destiny show will go?
Yeah.
Is it gonna look like this? And I still think anime is the absolute best route for it. You're dealing with space magic, and it won't look good in live action.
No.
And now with Sony, you just have direct access to that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my favorite part of the whole announcement. That was one of the first places that I went to.
Yeah, it's
also a prediction of mine. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that prediction has a really good shot at being true.
Absolutely.
Especially now. Yeah, I think I think the other part of this deal that we haven't really talked about yet is Sony really wants to use Bungie's expertise in live service games.
Yeah, that was in one of those interviews. That was kind of revealed.
It was a very clear statement, and I thought that was interesting. I wonder what Sony's working on that would require that, but they're very clearly working on something, and they want some assistance, and they were willing. They effectively bought the brains of Bungie, is what they were going for. They were like, hey, we're not going to get a console exclusive game, but we are going to get the brain power behind a very good game, a live service game that is wildly successful.
Mm-hmm.
How can we use this to our advantage? And so I wonder, what Sony could be working on. The other thing, and we talked about this a little bit last week with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft with Call of Duty, right?
Yep.
So Call of Duty, they said at least the next 3 Call of Duties. That goes to 2024. Today, it was Destiny through 2024. And they did say and beyond, but they didn't really, the legalese speak is very much there for them to say, hey, we can pull this. We can pull this. Now, I know Bungie doesn't want to, but they definitely left that open, much like Microsoft did with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The words words or the verbiage is pretty
There's
similar.
there's a little bit of like a Western, like walk into the middle of the town and it's like, who's gonna like, well, if you pull Call of Duty, I'm gonna pull Destiny. I think it's a little less likely than that.
Yeah, I don't think it's a super likely thing, but I think it's very much, they have that chip now.
They do.
It's in their pocket.
You're not wrong. They do. I think it's more likely that Sony signs a deal with them to spin off another team to create a PlayStation exclusive Bungie game that's a new IP. That's specifically like, it's not something Bungie's already been working on. It's something that like, hey, we know you want to publish lots of places. That's great. We want to pay you even more money. Here's an extra $300 million to make something exclusively for us, whatever that price tag would be.
Yep.
I think that's more likely.
And I think that'd be awesome.
And I'm fine. I'm more or less fine with that. I think that's the right business way to do this.
Yeah. I think it's the same on both sides. Like, I think they both need to be viewing it that way.
Yeah.
But I do like this acquisition, honestly. The more I think about it, the more I like it. I think, we kind of kept joking, is this just an injection of cash for Bungie? Yes, it is. It's exactly what it is. It is an injection of cash for Sony to say, hey, we can make movies and shows, and you can do what you need to do to make the gaming experiences you guys want to make.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome. I think both parties win. I think you get some really smart people in rooms together and look, all that happens is we get better things out of it.
Yeah.
So we all win here, right? Like, this is awesome. This is a good deal for Sony. It's a good deal for Bungie. It gives Bungie exactly what they need. And, I've kind of fallen off of Destiny. That doesn't mean I don't recognize how good of a game it is. I mean, I played the crap out of it with you guys. For me, it's a time thing.
Yeah.
But this makes me makes me that much more excited for Matter now. Now that game is probably, inching closer to the finish line.
Yeah, now they can have people work on it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm curious too, how long it will take for like things to be. I mean, first of all, like the deal to go through. Like, is it done? When is paper signed and checks cashed and employees moved to another building or all of that? Like, how long will it be before we will feel the help from Sony into Bungie and the knowledge of Bungie into Sony? Like,
spring 2023
differences.
I think we're gonna get. I think when you look at how long
Lightfall going to be insane.
Well, yeah, no, like when you think of like how long development times on things take, like Witch Queen is wrapped up on development, so they're working on seasonal stuff now. So yeah, like Lightfall, if they can get their check in the mail, they can get that cashed, and they can start paying to bring more people in to either work on, Lightfall proper, and my guess is they probably have if they're really happy with Witch Queen, which they kind of have hinted at, like, we're really proud with what they've created with Witch Queen, then I think what they'll do actually is inject people into the seasonal teams to pump up that kind of content in the short term. At the same time, they're obviously going to be throwing a ton of resources at their new IPs, because the longer those are in development, the longer it takes to pay them off. So the faster they can get that out, the better. So yeah, I do think overall this makes a lot of sense for both companies. It does seem to benefit Bungie more, but I don't know what that like profit split is going to be on anything, because there will be a profit split now.
Yeah.
And I think Sony is playing the long game in terms of like, we're hoping for an exclusive in like 5 years, and we're essentially gonna be the producers on all the Destiny movie or shows and or art books and all that kind of ancillary stuff if they get around to it. So I think that's for 3.6 billion, that's a risk Sony was willing to make, and I agree. I would have made that too if I had the cash.
It was also kind of funny, like seeing $3.6 billion.
Yeah,
which is a lot of money, and just being like, it's not that much.
Yeah,
well, so little.
Well,
way to make a small market acquisition, Sony. Good job.
Yeah, and you ask like, how fast is this going to go through? It's going to go through pretty fast, because in the scheme of things, that's small change compared to what Microsoft and Take-Two are having to do. Take-Two's acquisition of Zynga was like 3 times this. So like it's it's not going to have any issues. It's going to be flying through the approvals process there.
I've always wanted Bungie to make a single player game. So now, how long before we get the PlayStation first party third person RPG game? Because that's like what all action adventure game. That's what all the PlayStation games are. Like, you think Uncharted and The Last of Us.
Dude, what if they went back?
Horizon.
What if they went back and just
the one with the motorcycle
did what they had, like those original Destiny concepts of like medieval
Ghost of Tsushima,
medieval knights with magic? Like, I'd be down for that. That seems like it could make a really
swords are guns.
Really cool.
I bet there'll be climbing involved somehow.
Definitely.
And there's
a tuck and roll. And there's got to be a tuck and roll.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay. Any final thoughts on Destiny and Bungie and
I guess the other thing would be like kind of going back to a Destiny show.
Mm-hmm.
Sony doesn't have a streamer.
Yeah.
So it can go anywhere.
Yep. Who's gonna buy a Destiny show? They have
Amazon.
Yeah. I was gonna say, because they have a pretty good relationship with Netflix. Sony does, but at the same time, didn't they sign an exclusive deal with? Oh, that was just for Spider-Man though. With Disney Plus. Was that just the Spider-Man stuff?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go to Apple. It could go to Peacock.
Dude, if it goes to Apple, I'm expecting phenomenal things. Oh, that would be exciting though. Whew.
Well, they gotta fight Apple Man first, right?
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's a story I don't want to talk about because it makes me want to go punch Apple in the face.
Well, you should do it because Apple's freaking trash.
Oh, well, real quick before we go over in the chat, we had a few comments. San Paulito says that I really do feel like PlayStation was starting to die out in comparison to Xbox PC hype. I think it's a good move for them, but I fear for Bungie and Destiny 2. I think like we've kind of talked about, I'm not too worried about Bungie and Destiny 2.
Destiny is Bungie's baby. They care so much about it.
There's a lot of passion there about it, and I think in terms of where exclusives and things go in the future, yeah, maybe, but I think Destiny 2 is safe. I would even say that I would be willing to bet money that Destiny 3 is safe as a cross-platform
I don't think Destiny 3 is ever going to
video
happen.
game. I know you don't, but we'll fight about that. The engine is showing its age, okay? It's time to move on. I mean, not really, for another two years. So, and then JT says that clearly Sony and Bungie have a plan. It sounds like a huge goal was kind of met with Bungie backing them. I think just the goal for Bungie to become a true multimedia company. That growth point from we develop and maintain a game to we publish multiple games and we do multimedia stuff, content, is the like that's a huge jump. That's not just like something you inch your way into. And I think it's really important to have backers. And Sony was willing to essentially bite the bullet and say, yeah, you have other partners.
We'll back you.
Who was it wasn't Tencent. There's a Chinese firm that has a 10% stake in Bungie as well. So like they've gotten outside investors to invest in them before. This is just a more formal relationship with one of those investors saying like, yeah, we're committed. We're putting a ring on it. But also JT mentioned that Tencent apparently is kind of looking around at buying a bunch of things, and that Sony and Microsoft may be scooping up all of the developers before, kind of a Chinese conglomerate comes in and buys them all. That's really interesting.
Tencent,
I don't know if that's true, but could be.
Tencent does have a stake in Bungie, though.
Okay, that was them.
They injected some cash into Bungie a couple years ago.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, I think it's, I don't know, like what the kind of relations are between, I'll say Western developers and like Chinese conglomerates are. But that could absolutely be part of the case. So maybe not as much of a move against Microsoft as it is a move against someone else.
Yeah. Sony also said to expect more acquisitions.
Oh, did they? I hadn't heard that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leads us to our final question for the night. Who are they buying next?
Or who just in general is being bought next?
So
Microsoft probably ain't done either.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
I said Bungie last week and I got crucified by Luke. So I feel like whatever I say next, if Luke crucifies me for it,
I'm on it.
Then there's a good chance it might happen. I seriously think the next. So I think there's two. Maybe three that fall next. I think Sega is going to be purchased.
What? No, Sega will never be bought.
I think
you're dumb, Tyler.
by Microsoft, and then I think Square Enix will be purchased by Sony. I think those are the two next chips to fall, and they're saying this isn't a response to Activision Blizzard. I think Sony's response is they're going to try to buy EA. I think EA is really gonna be looked at as the next big one to go. I think EA is very much in play as being purchased.
Man, there was a time when I would have thought EA would be untouchable, but
right,
no one feels safe anymore.
Nothing's off the board.
Yeah, that's what's crazy, right?
No.
And I think I don't think
what?
Microsoft could pull EA. Like, do they have the money to? Yeah,
no,
but I don't think
now.
they could after Activision Blizzard.
Bethesda and Activision and
yeah,
Bethesda, there's no way.
So I think it would have to be Sony.
So the dark horse in EA though is Take-Two.
Yeah.
Because Take-Two makes sports games as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they want that football license. And the only way they're going to get it is if they buy EA.
And that's something we haven't really talked about. Like, is there a possibility of a dark horse publisher who's not not Sony, not Microsoft, who comes in and starts wanting to be the third wheel here? We know that's not Nintendo.
No.
Not gonna sell. They're maybe the one that I would say is the only one that's safe.
What if Nintendo buys somebody though?
I don't think Nintendo has the cash to buy someone. Maybe Sega, but
they won't buy EA, but like one of the smaller.
I don't know. Like maybe I think they just have such a niche little bubble. They're happy with it. I think.
My theory on Microsoft buying Sega is Microsoft, like Xbox, does not do well in Japan. And Sega is so popular over there. And Yakuza has been just wildly successful for them on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I could. There's obviously some sort of partnership there. I could see them buying Sega, and maybe that helps them break into the Japanese market. I don't know. This is going to become a game of acquisitions. So we might need a new map, Brett.
We could. We may need. Well, and speaking of streaming wars maps, JT in the chat said, "Hear me out. I talked about this with my brother today. What if Sony releases a streamer with everything on it? Games, shows, movies.
Oh,
because that's something we haven't really seen. Netflix has kind of dabbled in it, but not with great success. But yeah, what if Sony put out their own streaming service all of a sudden that didn't just have movies and shows, but also had games?
When I freaking predicted it. Or it was a backup prediction.
They're definitely the one company that is in that kind of position where they have, I would say, enough content to make that viable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of infrastructure that goes into that though, and your base for that subscription is probably going to be gamers, and then you have to sell that to people who want it just for shows. And my guess is, unless it's a tiered thing where it's like, you just want movies, here's this price. You just want shows, it's this price. If you want both, it's this price. It probably won't be successful just because it'll be too expensive, would be my guess.
I got it. The next one to go is Warner Brothers Studios, the gaming stuff.
That is a good guess. Honestly,
that's the next one to go. That was rumored last year that Microsoft might buy it.
Yeah,
that's the next one to fall.
Well, and I think there were even rumbles after the Discovery thing was announced that Discovery was looking to get, like, they're not interested in the gaming division. So I think they would absolutely sell. They just need to get that deal needs to go through first before. I mean, I guess not really. Warner Brothers, AT&T could still sell them off pre-deal,
yeah.
Pre-Discovery deal.
That's part of a condition.
Yeah.
That they set with Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see it, man.
I can too. Boy, that would be interesting. I could see Sony trying for that one pretty hard.
You think Sony wouldn't chomp at the bit to buy Hogwarts Legacy?
Oh, yeah.
They already got the marketing rights.
Yeah, no, they definitely would.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here.
Oh yes.
And I'm gonna go with one that I think will never happen because I never thought Bungie would be sold. CD Projekt Red.
Ooh, that's juicy. They're in a spot right now where they could be purchased.
That's kind of fascinating.
Cyberpunk it made a lot of money, but by golly, it did not get good word of mouth.
No,
the launch of that was so bad.
Well, post release has been bad too. Like, it hasn't been good.
They are still just delaying
updates.
Remember
a year and a half ago when I was like, I can't wait to play this game when the next gen update drops, and it still hasn't dropped.
So there was news on that today, actually. I forgot to mention it. Somebody saw it. It was on the PlayStation Store.
Oh, really?
The next gen update version was, and then they took it down.
So maybe it's just going through certification.
So it might be closer than we think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be closer than we think.
I can go back into it. I've actually been kind of excited to play it again, but I keep just like holding off because I'm like, just wait for it to be at its best.
Yeah.
But there's my shot in the dark this week.
I like it. I like it a lot.
I like it.
All right. Well, we're an hour 30 in, so we should get out so everyone else can have a good rest of their evening. I want to thank everyone for tuning in live. If you're listening to this via the podcast or just over on YouTube, you can check out our live stream Monday nights, 8 p.m. Central Time over on Twitch, twitch.tv/whatthefanboy. Follow us on social media for all those updates. You can also, see when all the episodes drop. I push those updates out via social media, Twitter, Instagram. We're on TikTok. I haven't updated it in a while, but I'll try and get back on that.
That's okay.
We got
That's
a new
okay.
intro this. We got a new
TikTok
intro
can
this
suck
week,
it.
so that was the highlight. But yeah, thank you everyone for being a part of What the Fanboy podcast. We cannot wait for 2022. Man, next week is February. Can't wait. Let's get into it, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.